Hey everyone, this is Pallavi and today I'm going to show the 27th game of the book Chess, The Art of Logical Thinking by Neil MacDonald. This game was played between Kasparov and Ivanchuk in 1988 USSR Championship and the game played was English opening. So this game highlights the importance of balancing strategic foresight with tactical awareness as well as the significance of maintaining control over key central squares and coordinating pieces effectively to achieve victory. So without further ado, let's begin. So white started with c4. White's strategy in this game revolves around gaining absolute control of the d5 square, with the first move serving as the perfect start to achieve this goal. Black played knight f6, developing towards the center and controlling d5 and the e5 square. Now white played knight c3. White's sensible developing move enhances their influence on the d5 square. e5. Ivanchuk claims an equal share of the center while freeing his king's bishop. Simultaneously, he discourages white from playing d4, as this would lose time after e takes d4, queen takes d4, and then knight c6, speeding up black's development by attacking the white queen. Now white played knight f3, developing towards the center and attacking the e5 pawn. Black played knight c6, developing and supporting the e5 pawn. If instead had black played e4, then knight g5, attacking the e4 pawn with two of these knights. Then if black plays queen e7, supporting it, and then queen c2, again attacking the pawn for the third time, and the e4 pawn drops. So black played knight c6 and now white played g3 with the idea of bishop g2 and put pressure on the d5 square. Bishop to b4. The dark squared bishop attacks the white knight and so joins in the fight for the d5 square and the e4 square, both light squares. Now white played bishop g2. White's bishop will also get involved in the struggle over the e4 and d5 squares, but in a direct manner. Now black castled on the king side. Before making a daring move in the center, black smartly moves his king to safety and involves in king's rook in the action. Now white also castled on the king side. White makes the same excellent preparatory move, realizing that jumping into immediate action in the center with d4 would result in a pin on the knight on c3. Now black played e4. A bold move by black, capturing the e4 square disrupts white's pieces. The knight is forced to move from its strong position on f3 and the bishop on g2 gets blocked in. However, maintaining the pawn on e4 will be difficult due to immense pressure. Yet black hopes that while white deals with this pawn, they can activate their own pieces and gain an advantage. Now white played knight to g5. Suddenly the pawn on e4 is attacked no less than 3 ways. 2 knights and 1 bishop attacking the e4 pawn. Black played bishop takes c3. The only way to keep the adventurous pawn safe is to give up the bishop pair. Since the position is closed, this isn't a big problem for now. It's likely that Kasparov will work hard to open up the position as much as possible. Now white played b takes c3. When unsure, it's better to recapture using a pawn toward the center, like b takes c3, rather than away from it. like d takes c3. Even though capturing d takes c3 opens up the diagonal for the dark squared bishop, it's more crucial to maintain a pawn on d2 for potential challenges in the center with moves like d4 or d3 even. Okay, so now black played rook to e8. Black protects his advanced pawn in the most efficient way by bringing his rook to the center of the board. f3. Failing to capture the pawn, white needs to eliminate it through an exchange to loosen black's control over the center. E takes f3. This might seem like the only option, but actually black had an incredible pawn sacrifice with e3 available. First played by Karpov against Kasparov in a world championship match. After white responds with d takes e3, black can continue with b6, followed by bishop a6 and knight a5, putting pressure on the c4 pawn. It would be difficult for white to keep their extra pawn, which is doubled and weak, these two pawns. So after f3, black played e takes f3. Now white played knight takes f3. Unlike the position after e3, where white's knight was not on f3 and the f-file wasn't open for the rook, now white has the knight securely placed on f3 and the f-file open for the rook. This allows white to start playing aggressively and in the center. So knight takes f3 and now black played d5. Ivanchuk paves the path for his queen's bishop's development and aims to pressure with white with the threat of d takes c4. Now white played a good move, d4. A fine pawn sacrifice to assert control of the center. Now after d takes c4, bishop g5 with a strong pin on the knight. For example, if h6, then bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, knight e5, and the f7 pawn is sure to drop in the next move. So after d4, now black did not capture d takes d takes c4. He played knight e4. Black gets his knight out of the way of the bishop g5 pin and counterattacks against c3. Queen c2. White defends and attacks simultaneously, safeguarding the c3 pawn while mobilizing their most powerful piece to exert pressure on the e4 square, a key area of focus in the opening. Now black played d takes c4. At last Ivanchuk accepts the pawn offer. He has little choice as c takes d5 was about to undermine his center. If bishop f5 instead of capturing the pawn, then knight h4 drives away the bishop. So black captured d takes c4 and now white played another good move. Guess what? Rook b1. Despite being a pawn down, white doesn't rush into anything drastic. The calm rook move puts pressure on black, as developing the queen's bishop would result in losing the b7 pawn, leaving white with equal material and a significantly superior pawn structure. So now black played f5. Black reinforces the knight with his pawn. Now comes the critical moment. Has black effectively strengthened his control over the light squares in the center? Now white played another good move, g4. White decisively rejects this notion. The second pawn offer enables him to dislodge the black knight and seize the control of the e4 square. Queen e7. The attempt to reinforce the knight backfires because it opens up lines on the king side, which proves fatal for black. Instead of retreating, black should have accepted the sacrifice with f takes g4. Then if now knight e5, and then moved the knight back with f6, knight f6. Because if knight takes e5, then bishop takes e4 leaves both the knight on e5 and h7 under threat. So f takes g4, knight e5, then knight f6, and now knight takes c6. Then bishop, b takes c6, bishop takes c6, attacking both the rooks, bishop e6, and then bishop takes a8, queen takes a8, leaves black with wonderful light square control in return for the exchange. Far superior would be, instead of capturing the rook, e4. Although white would have tremendous compensation for the two pawns with a broad pawn center and complete control over the e4 square. Black's pawn structure would be completely ruined. Despite this, it would have been the path black should have chosen, as having two extra pawns would provide some comfort in an otherwise miserable position. So after g4, black played queen e7, and now white played g takes f5. Now black's control over e4 weakens, because if bishop takes f5, then knight g5, it's too powerful. Even if black manages to defend against the threats to the king side and center, they would still need to deal with rook takes b7, which would devastate their queen side pawns. Once more, the significance of the quiet move rook b1 becomes evident. So after g takes f5, now black played knight to d6. Double threat of bishop takes f5 and queen takes e4 if the white pawn goes to e4 now. Now white played another good move, knight to g5. Suddenly all the necessary conditions for an attack on the black king are met. The knight occupies a strong attacking square, the bishop on g2 is active, and the pawn on f5 is protected by the rook. This illustrates the beauty of a well-executed plan. It opens up various tactical possibilities for the player who has triumphed in the strategic struggle. Now black played queen takes e2. Black has little option but to accept the latest pawn offer given the immediate tactical threats. Additionally, facing e4, white would possess a marvelous central position. So black captured the e2 pawn. Now white played bishop d5 check. The bishop finds an excellent position here. In conjunction with the knight, it continuously threatens the black king. King h8. If king f8 instead, then knight takes h7 check, king e7, and queen takes e2 check, and black loses the queen. So black played king h8. Now white played queen takes e2. The golden rule in defending against a king is to exchange queens, but it won't save black in this situation because the pressure from the other white pieces is simply too overwhelming. Now black played rook takes e2. White played bishop to f4. Finally, the dark squared bishop enters the game, introducing the idea of bishop takes d6, followed by knight f7 check, where the black king is forced into a discovered check. Additionally, clears the way for an exchange of rooks with rook b e1, a move that poses considerable challenges for black. Now black played knight to d8. Retreating a minor piece to the first rank often indicates that something has gone wrong. However, black had to reinforce the f7 square to prevent dropping a piece to a discovered check. For instance, if black had attempted to develop the bishop with bishop d7, then bishop takes d6, c takes d6, knight f7 check, king g8, knight e5 check, followed by knight takes d7, and white will be gaining a piece. So black played knight to d8, white captured bishop takes d6, and then black had to capture with the pawn, c takes d6. Now white played rook be1. Rushing recklessly towards the opponent's king often results in checkmate eluding you. However, by patiently improving your position, checkmate may emerge almost effortlessly. Kasparov's focused effort to control the e-file illustrates this concept, leading almost magically to a checkmate opportunity. Now black had to capture rook takes e1. Moving the rook sideways allows the mate on e8. So black has no choice but to submit to the exchange of his last active piece. And now white played rook takes e1 with the threat of checkmate on e8, bishop d7. This is a very belated attempt to mobilize the queen side and offer some sort of challenge to white's bishop. Now white played rook e7, placing the rook on the 7th rank. Now the black bishop has to run away to save himself. Now bishop c6. Black's rook and knight remain passively positioned while only the bishop is actively engaged in the fight. However, even the bishop is overwhelmed, tasked with defending the back rank and opposing the white bishop simultaneously. Now white played an excellent move. Now you can pause the video and think for this excellent move. So here white played f6 and black resigned here because the threat right now is f takes g7 and it's a checkmate. So if now black plays g takes f7, then rook takes h7 and it's a checkmate. And if black captures the bishop, bishop takes d5, then rook e8 check, bishop g8, and then f7, threaten to checkmate on g8, then knight takes f7, and then knight takes f7, it's a checkmate. So it's a fantastic combination of rook, bishop, knight and pawn. So after f6, black resigned. Now let's look at some key principles and lessons that we learned from this game. Number 1 is center control. Both players strive to control the central squares, which provides greater influence over the board and facilitates piece mobility. Number 2 is piece development. Efficient and timely piece development is crucial. Both players aim to bring their pieces into active and harmonious positions, contributing to their overall strategy. Number 3 is pawn structure. Understanding pawn structures and their impact on the game is essential. Pawns not only control space but also dictate the flow of the game and the placement of pieces. Number 4, king safety. Ensuring the safety of one's king is paramount. Moves that compromise king safety, such as leaving it exposed or under attack, can lead to swift defeats. Number 5, strategic planning. Long-term strategic planning guides the game. Players anticipate future developments and position their pieces accordingly to capitalize on potential advantages. Number 6 is tactical awareness. Recognizing tactical opportunities and threats is crucial. Players must be vigilant for tactical motives such as forks, pins, skewers, and sacrifices that can lead to material gains or decisive advantages. Number 7 is flexibility and adaptability. Adapting to changing circumstances, and adjusting one's strategy accordingly is vital. Plans must be flexible enough to accommodate unexpected developments on the board. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something from this game as well. Please like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel to show some support. Thank you. See you in the next video. Bye bye.